All right, looks like we're good here. All right, so good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming to Transformers Victory 101, a brief overview by, well, someone who doesn't know the meaning of brief. We got a lot of slides through here to get through, so I guess we'll start getting through these things. I'm Techno, and I'm here to tell you about the Transformers. So I guess the first question here is, why do a panel about a 35-year-old Transformers series that a lot of people haven't seen? And to start to explain that, show of hands. Who here bought the Hazmat Star Sticker? Okay, keep hands up. Who bought that Source? Did anyone get your Galaxy Shuttle out of curiosity? Awesome, awesome. All right, now, keep your hands up if you've actually seen Transformers Victory. Okay, more people than I thought, but I mean, still, a lot of you have not. And anyway, that was the purpose of this, because I was in the same boat of, I should probably actually watch the show that I just bought all these expensive toys on. So anyway, what's this panel going to be? It's going to be me telling you how awesome Transformers Victory is. I'm under no illusions that we've all got really long viewing lists, so I don't expect you to go out and watch the show afterwards, even though you should. Like, I get it, I've got stuff I'm behind on as well. So I'm going to be doing an overview of the series, the key characters, key moments in the series. There's still a lot on the cutting room floor. Despite that, we've only got so many minutes. So, what is Transformers Victory? It's a Japanese Transformers series that came out in March 14, 1989. It's the third in the trilogy that began with Headmasters, followed by Master Force, and followed on from the events of Season 3 of Transformers. Interestingly enough, 1989 was also the year that Japan finally got Transformers the movie, because they had not actually seen it yet, and they would not until about almost midway through Victory's run. The original concepts for the series were by Masami Kaneda, who also wrote Headmasters and Master Force, but he's not credited as the head writer on Victory. That would go to Hiroyuki Hoshiyama. This is solid wiki. Like the other two shows, it was solely animated by Toei, so we have none of that Akon garbage in the series. Gorgeous animation, like, seriously, it's really impressive just how consistent the animation is all throughout the shows. There's parts where I'm like, oh my god, the detail of these hands, like just all the hand joints and stuff. It's full on magnetic, it's gorgeous 2D animated stuff. It would air for 44 episodes, including clip shows, and put a pin in that last note there, I'll get back to that. There's also a manga, and I will touch on that too. So the basic story outline of Victory, it's set a year after the events of the previous show, Transformers Master Force, in the distant future of next year. Woo! Time is evil, isn't it? But yeah, the overall story has the latest Destron Emperor of Destruction, Deathsaurus, determined to succeed where everyone else failed. So he invades the Earth with his troops in the spaceship to steal all the energy he needs to repower his planet-destroying fortress, which is currently sealed away. And Starsaber, who has been freshly promoted to Supreme Commander, leads a team to protect the planet and stop the enemy forces as they strike various targets around the world. Very global show, they go all over the planet, call out a lot of places. And for any Toku fans here in the audience, who's your Toku fan? Awesome, then you need to watch this because this is Transformers with Tokusatsu. This is 100% up your alley. You'll recognize the narrative structure, you'll recognize a lot of the choices in terms of how this show is played out. It's awesome. Before I get too far in, a couple of translation notes. Before 2007, which was way too long ago now, in Japan, they had different names for the factions. The Autobots were known as the Cybertrons, and the Decepticons were known as the Destrons. The actual planet was called Sabertron, but that's relevant here. But yeah, Victory uses this convention here, and since I kind of prefer Destron as a name, because it just rolls off the tongue and sounds awesome, I'm probably going to be defaulting to the Japanese names. I'm also going to be using Japanese character names, because some of the DVD releases, for whatever inexplicable reason, went, oh hey, let's use the names that Hasbro releases these toys that sound absolutely nothing like the names people are saying on screen. So, let's get to the main characters. I'm going to be starting off with a bunch of characters. I'm not doing everyone at the start. I'm going to pepper a few in as we go and then come up with the narrative. So stay tuned. And we're going to start here with the Micromasters, the Rescue Patrol. This is Squad of 4 Micromasters to all-terrain rescue vehicles. From left to right, we have Boater, Holly, Peepo, and Fighter. Polly is the leader of the group. He turns into a police car, and he is the main one who is in there from episode 1. The other guys come out a few episodes later. And yeah, the big thing that the Rescue Patrol does throughout the series is they are mainly on the work of getting civilians out of harm's way. They don't do a lot of actual fighting themselves. They're more the response team, and they play a very important role that is emblematic of the way the Cybertrons work in the show. So we have People's an ambulance. His name is Sam Ambulance. His name is phonetically in Japan. Beepo, Beepo. Boater's a boat, and Fire's a fire truck. Very, very clear naming. Next up, we have the Multi-Force team, or like Azur said in the audio, they're the Multi-Sentai, but Multi-Force is the official translation. They are a team of Micromaster combiners. They all embody the power of different elements, so that doesn't really come up much in the show. A pair of them can interchangeably combine in either the top or the bottom of a single robot. You've got here, for instance, just an example here. This is Mock Tackle right here. We have Mock and Tackle. We've got the two smaller robots, and then we've got the combined version there. And often they're the scouts of the Cybertron team. They spend a lot of time on patrol, looking for enemy activity, doing that sort of stuff. And they're generally depicted in three pairs. This is from left to right. We have Dash Tacker, who is kind of just there. He doesn't really do a lot. We have Mock Tackle, who does a little bit more. He gets his own spotlight episode. That will come up a little bit later. And we have Wing Waver, who is the leader of the group. He's the main one. He is a little bit impatient and hot-headed. He's like, why can't I just jump in and join in these guys a lot of the time? And they all combine into an even bigger combiner, Landing Cross, formed by all 6 Micromasters. And with that note about combiners here in Victory, they're handled a little bit differently than in other Transformer shows, in that it's very much a perfected science by now. We don't have any of that stuff where, hey, a combiner is dumber, a combiner has a critical weakness compared to the individuals. The combiners are all objectively smarter, they tend to be a hell of a lot stronger, and guys with them that can interact with smaller people and stuff like that. And the whole toy unit here you can see illustrated. It is very much chest opens up, the smaller Brainmaster goes into the chest, it closes up, and then the face slides up into the helmet when the chest closes up there. It's a cool gimmick. There's 4 Brainmasters in the series. This is the squad of the 3 main ones there. The leader of the group is he's Blacker, who's there in the middle. He's the second in command on the Cybertrons. His Brainmaster is known as the Brain of Strength. Braver is off to the right. He has the Brain of Intelligence. He is generally the scientist of the group. And we have Lasker on the left, who has the Brain of Skill. He does his own tinkering and inventing as well. And they all combine into Road Caesar, another combiner. 2 smaller cars with legs, Black with the rest of it. And as for the 4th Brainmaster, I think you all know this guy already. He is the main character of the show, Starsaver, Supreme Commander of the Cybertrons. As the series starts, he's just recently been promoted into the commander role. He is still finding his feet on that sort of thing. Fantastic design. Famously, he was worked on by Kunio Okawara, who was a Gundam designer. So if you think he looks kind of like a Gundam, it's because he does. His main defining character trait, this is the most important part about him, is that he values life. He will not put civilians in harm's way. If civilian lives are a threat, he will stand back. He will try and get them out of harm's way before he engages the enemy. He is kind of the polar opposite of movie Optimus Prime in that regard. He is straight up a tokusatsu hero. Life is the most important thing. Again, if you're a Toku fan, you love this guy. His Brainmaster is Brain of Courage, which then combines into this smaller, saber form. He's only ever really referred to as Starsaver in the show, though. Never just Saber. He has a booster pack that's known as the V-Star. He can ride it like a goblin glider, which he does a few times. It's really cool when he does. And he can also combine with it in his jet mode and form an even bigger jet mode. And of course, he can become the chest, a bigger Starsaver form there, where he becomes the arms and legs, and then he battles up as the helmet goes over his head. Incidentally, the helmet does not always go over the head. He spends a lot of time, like just in the base there, fully combined with his battle helmet as well. And in this form, he is a complete powerhouse. He can take on pretty much anybody at the stage and fight them to a draw, if not outright win. All right, the kid character, because it's a cartoon. We have Jen here. He is the child POV self-insert character of the series. He is Star Saber's adopted son, and that is not because Star Saber is actually human. It is rather a case of he was a baby and his parents were murdered by the Dino Force. You know, just like Sarah. So yeah, he's survived by a space pod, adopted by Star Saber, and often he's paired up along with Holly in the Rescue Force. They kind of have a bickering sibling relationship in terms of how they're always like getting at each other. And Star Saber is very much a strong father figure, maybe a little too strong because you know what kids shouldn't emulate? The guy who is willing to sacrifice himself no matter the cost. Like there's a few points later in the series where I was like, wow, he's kind of going full child soldier here. All right. We're almost at the end of the initial Cybertron cast. We have God Jinrai, who was one of the main characters in Transformers Master Force, the prior series, who is not Optimus Prime, even though he just looks just like him. Like, he is explicitly not Prime. It's the Power Master Prime toy. But he shows up very briefly at the beginning of the series. They just reference that, oh, he's off fighting Overlord with another group of Cybertrons off in space. And he pops up here and there, and when he does pop up, it's very significant. All right, rounding out the Cybertron team, we have Galaxy Shuttle. Again, like, he was very hard to find in the US in those recent toys. And, he's the guy who barely showed up because they dumped him all in Canada for whatever reason. And his name is pretty descriptive. He is a spaceship and also a shuttle. And he spends like 90% of his time just sitting on the launch pad at the shuttle base that the Cybertrons operate at, just in shuttle mode. He's too big to fit the base. Like, he can stand next to the base. He's like, goes halfway up the side of the base. It's kind of nuts. So he spends, like, look how big he is. He's huge. So, yeah, he spends most of his time in his park. He's the size everyone wishes Astro Train was. And fun fact, our Rob Jetfire is actually a homage to him. All right, we're on to the bad guys now, and we're going to start with the Goon Squad of the group, the Dino Force, the Kyokyu Sentai. That's right, we should be calling them the Power Rangers because they predate U Ranger. Anyway, and they're also dinosaurs too, so yes, they're straight at that. But yeah, they are Cars released the Monster Pretender toys, but they did completely new shells, green armored dinosaurs, as you can see there. And also, the question as to whether or not they're actual Transformers in the series is a little up for debate because they never actually use those alt modes. They spend all their time either in their Pretender shells or they shout trans out and emerge from their eggs and as fully formed robots. And become their best selves. And as I said, they are the Goon Squad. They're the grunts who routinely do the smash and grab stuff to acquire energy from the Death Sons. We've got 6 of them there. Goku there in the top right. He's the leader of the band. You know him well. And yeah, he spends a lot of his time riding his T-Rex Pretender shell. He's the only one who does this. And just waving his club around giving orders to his troops. They all get on very well. Goku loves his troops love him. There's Simpatico. They are a very good team that works really well together. And they spend most of the time in their Pretender shells as well too. And yeah, we also have Goryu, Gairyu, Kakuryu, Ryu, and Yokuryu. And the guy in the bottom right there, Kakuryu, is the only other real one of note because the way I put it is that he is the group's Kevin in a group of Kevins. So he is the Kevinist Kevin. This is pretty much exactly the team dynamic of the Dino Force right here. Like, this is why I love them. They are great. I really hope that that Dino King we're rumored to get does happen. I am really hyped to get that. All right, and speaking of Dino King, yes, they all combine. They merge to form Dino King, who is objectively stronger than the sum of his parts, and smarter. He's very capable, can hold his own against most everyone except Star Saber. And, all right, now we'll get to the other major special teams of Destros. All right, yeah. To be clear, the name of the subgroup is meant to refer to the fact that they have transforming breastplates. Their breastplates come off, they turn into weapons, they turn into little animals. It's a really neat gimmick. Iron Factory's making these guys right now, they're pretty rad. So the name makes a lot of sense, and Hasbro are cowards for using chest masters. Alright, the main team of the breast masters in the series are known as the Breast Force. They've all got animal themes, and they've all got different little partners based on that. The Dino Force is the equivalent of like the enlisted troops. The Breast Force would be the highly trained officer corps. They're all very much, very ambitious. They're all tacticians. They're all very solid fighters who know how to actually lay a trap and plan something. Yeah, we got from left to right. We got Jaguar there. He turns into a Jeep, into like an armored Jeep thing, and he has a Jaguar beam. We have Kill Bison in the middle, who guess what his animal is, and he's a tank. And then we have Drill Horn off to the side there, who is very much, as the series begins, the second in command of the Breast Force, and de facto, and he is a rival guy. And also interestingly, unlike the others, these guys are actually referred to as the Breast Force in the series. They're not Breast Sentai, the Breast Force. Leozak is the leader of this group because he's very prominent, and his guys are lion. He is the second in command of the Destrons, and he is very similar archetype-wise to Armada Starscream. He is that warrior who wants to defeat his enemies in honorable combat. He doesn't like subterfuge. He doesn't like all this sneaky stuff in order to gather energy. And he's the guy who would be shouting "Face me Galactus" at Galactus, sort of thing there, like completely seriously, even though he's going to get trounced in 5 seconds flat. He thinks things would be better if he was in charge. However, he is also smart enough to know that he has no possible way of ever being able to beat that source, so he doesn't even try. He's very ruthless. He's got a unthinkable. He's just too strong for that. They would lose. And that's sort of the guy who thinks he's a genius tactician. He comes up with a lot of decent plans. He delegates those plans to his underlings. And importantly, nothing important by that source's mindset, nothing is ever his fault. It's always someone else's fault that things go wrong. Even when it wasn't all of his underlings, he always finds a way to blame them. Even though if he had just gotten up and helped them out, he probably could have turned the tide. And his solution to things going wrong is physically abuse his underlings. He also loves big guns too. Just as a translation note here, there's a number of translations that use Thesaurus instead of Depsaurus. There's been a big back and forth going through the canon as to which is the correct translation. Like the original toy used Thesaurus on the packaging, like the English phonetics, but the question has always been, is it meant to be Depsaurus? And this did get settled in 2015 when Koji Ono, the designer of the toy, confirmed at BotCon, I believe, that the intended name was in fact Depsaurus. And in regard to Depsaurus, one last key bit to mention about him, the most important bit, the other character, his throne. He spends most of the series in his throne. This is why it's like the most important accessory in the Hasbro. Because it's like, if you want to play the source, he's probably going to be sitting in his throne, berating his underlings, getting mad that they didn't succeed when he could have just gotten up out of his chair at any time and turned the tide of that entire battle.
Seems like
it was an essential inclusion to the HasLab, and it's so important, his spaceship has an elevator for it.
Seems like a Thanos style.
Kinda, yeah, except it doesn't float, it's just like, he's got an elevator for his throne. The source operates out of a Thunder Arrow, his spaceship. It travels from place to place. It's a mobile base of operations. And it can go in space, it can go underwater, and they usually go around place to place and steal energy in order to load it up. Alright, let's do a brief discussion on power levels in terms of the general team strength. At this point in the series, Starsaber is easily the strongest guy out there. He's an even match for that source, so his matches tend to be fairly even. He comes slightly ahead a lot of times, but like they're very close. Dino King he has no problem with. He has no problem with he has no problem with the Breast Force. Like even when he's not combined, he can pretty much fight the Breast Force very easily. However, he's got one big, and the combiners, as I said there, overpower everyone else. Starsaber does have one big weakness. the whole protecting bystanders thing, because he doesn't want innocent lives to suffer in this war with Destron. Whenever innocent lives suffer, he gets furious. He is really mad when the Destron cause like innocent lives that he wasn't to die that he wasn't able to save. So the Destrons are smart. They explicitly work his weaknesses into their plans. They take a lot of hostages. They operate in a lot of civilian areas. And they will do all this stuff specifically to prevent the Cybertrons from acting so that they can steal energy. And box him, like there's a lot of times where they box Starsaver in a position where he is very predictable because he's only really got one pathway to his lives. Like it's an equalizer. It's a very smart writing equalizer. Alright, so throughout the series, the Destron schemes all generally follow a general pattern. They're all dedicated to stealing as much energy as they can from their targets. Almost always the source is like back in the Thunder Arrows, sitting on his throne while he gets his orders. A lot of the times it's you sit in the Dino Force, do a smash and grab, break a bunch of things, and then start gathering up energy. And then the Breast Force are the ones that are doing the military tactics, that are keeping the Cybertrons busy, that are fighting them, laying ambushes, and as I said, a lot of the times involve hostages. And the biggest obstacle to science and scene is you get the occasional infighting rivalries. The Dino Force and the Breast Force do not like each other. Like the Breast Force was then stuck up, the Dino Force was then stuck, the Breast Force was stuck up, that sort of stuff there. Yeah, here's a great example of the Destron plan in the series, a typical plan. I love this one. So the plan starts out where in Coastal City they have Drillhorn go underground. He's a drill tank. He drills into all the gas station reservoirs, drains all the fuel in the city. So they realize they're out of energy, we need an oil tanker. So they bring an emergency oil tanker to refuel the city. And then the Destrons make a bomb threat. Let us go to the docks, steal the tanker, otherwise we'll blow up the city with a neutron bomb and kill everybody. So then the Brainmasters run into the Dino Force, which confirms that, oh crap, they did plant a bomb, it's not a threat. So now the Cybertrons are busy searching the city, trying to find this bomb. They are completely preoccupied with stopping this bomb because they don't want the Destrons to set it off and kill everybody. And meanwhile, the tanker arrives. They're not waiting for the docks. Instead, they've got Thunder Arrow underwater. It comes up, and they're just going to tractor beam the oil tanker in and just steal the whole tanker. And while they're trying to find the bomb, they can't risk engaging. The planet is foiled, the day is saved, but like a lot of Destron plots are like this. They're very well thought out plots that are fairly elaborate and are fairly clever. And now we're getting into more characters as the series moves on. Episode 10, we get the first big status quo shift with the introduction of Combat. He is the Starscream. The example I would use is, what if Starscream had a negative charisma stat?
No.
They bring Combat in because he's good at infiltration, he's good at intelligence gathering, but nobody likes him or trusts him, and they all think he's a duplicitous snake in the grass, because he absolutely is. He is very transparently after Leozak's job. He's always grounded in the Azur at every opportunity, and he's also a bit of a coward. He spends like half his time like doing his own little schemes or covering his own ass because his own plans backfired, and then he's trying to give his team a reason to not follow him. He's got a Bat Master, like every other Bat character in Transformers. He's got hypnosis abilities. All right. I would normally skip over this episode, but next we're going to go to Canada. Southern Canada, as the show calls it. I checked multiple subs. It's referred to as Southern Canada, even though it's probably around Banff. So this is a very telling you that you're writing about North America without having actually been to North America. Because it's very much played as like the Southern U.S. the way they play it. And yeah, it's near the prairies. There's references to the Rocky Mountains. It's not Tackle Spotlight episode. I'm just bringing it up because they go to Canada. And hopefully it's not a glimpse of the Thompson's future. Like I said in front of her. Alright, the first major arc after we have all the general table setting and general schemes and stuff. Getting close to midpoint, things change up, and everything goes to Planet Micro, which is where the rescue force is from. The Destrons are lying low, and there's certainly stuff going on over on Planet Micro. Generalized over there right now, and there's a number of significant status quo shakeups that happened during this arc. I mean, first of all, we meet Clipper, Holly's girlfriend. That is literally her entire characterization. That's Amy's Japan for you. She's the secretary. That's pretty much it. But more importantly, we meet Great Shot, the Cybertron Ninja Warrior, who you remember from Ninja's panel on Friday. He is a six-changer who used to be part of the Destrons, but at some point in the past he switched sides, and he's now very much a drifter. He just goes from place to place and just saving lives, doing good, fighting evil. And while it's never confirmed on screen, his description does sound a lot like that of a certain former Destron six-changing ninja consultant from Headmasters. And all the other Destrons hate his guts. They all hate him. He's a traitor. He's a backstabber. They all want to kill him. We also meet these two guys in the same episode he's introduced, Blue Bacchus and Black Shadow. They are mercenaries that have been hired by Hellbat in order to steal alternative energy. And they are very much engaging in scorched earth, destroy everything tactics while doing so. With that in mind, Black Shadow is a very appropriate choice for the IDW comics of the Phase 6er because he's pretty much doing Phase 6 tactics like when he shows up in his first appearance. And yeah, Hellbat hired them, they get defeated, they then find out that, oh, Hellbat's payment was coming out of what they were stealing, and then they'll beat the crap, and then it's implied that they beat the crap out of Hellbat off screen. Yeah, we got the one episode, that's it, they're cool designs, they're makeup pretenders, they both got toys. We also meet the sixth member of the Rest Force, Guy. There's a jailbreak on Planet Micro because Guy Hockey is locked up in jail there. And so the Rest Force all decides to head over there, break up the sixth guy. He is a POW at that point who is locked up in a work camp in which they feed the prisoners the bare minimum of energy to survive and then put them to work. I'm sure there's Geneva Convention violations going on there. His Rest Master is a hawk. He's got this ice needle attack where he can paralyze people by shooting the ice needles. And he's very dangerous. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. Everyone in the Rest Force loves this guy. Like, they're all like, yes, Skyhawk is the greatest. And he kind of takes over as the tactical second in command. No one really minds that because Skyhawk is great. He used to be friends with Great Shot, but as soon as he finds out during the jailbreak that Great Shot is on the other side now, he immediately makes it his mission to just murder Great Shot. Like, he hates traitors. So yeah, they break him out of jail. The team now has 6 members, and now they can finally combine. Except right after they fire Hellbat. Because as I mentioned, everyone hates Hellbat. And so they all get together in a closed-door meeting, and they all talk about how there's a 7th guy they know, Death Cobra. We can bring him in instead, and then we can fire Hellbat. We don't need that loser. We don't need that traitor who is just a backstabber and schemer, who is the worst. Like Hellbat's whole energy plan was behind the Rest Force back. They got mad when they found out. Meanwhile, Hellbat secretly listens in this meeting, and he is like, oh God, I don't want to get fired. So he decides to do what any reasonable person would do. Intercept his replacement and beg him to leave. One thing leads to another, and well, let's just say Hellbat, he's begging to leave. He then resorts to pulling a gun. His trigger finger then literally slits. Everyone starts blasting. And yeah, and then by complete accident, he gets a lucky shot and kills Death Cobra. He is not trying to. He shoots Death Cobra's open wound, murders Death Cobra right there, and he is in hot water now. If they find out that he killed Death Cobra, oh, he is screwed. So he lies and says the Cybertrons did it. And yeah, I drew this after I watched the episode because I couldn't not. Anyway, the Rest Force is furious now, and galvanized by this lie, they vow vengeance, and they now finally merge to reveal they themselves are a combiner, Lion Kaiser, who immediately proves to be far more than a match than Starsaber. And that power chart changes. As you can see there, the hierarchy of power in the G1 universe is about to change. He beats Starsaber within an inch of his life, and Set Life is only saved because God Jimra shows up at the very last second. This is the midpoint of victory, and also, one more thing about him. He has a cloaking device, too. Oh. He's a combiner with a cloaking device. He is friggin' overpowered as hell, I don't know. And then while all this has been going on, meanwhile, Death Source took the Dino Force on vacation and went over to his powered fortress. We get a little bit of backstory of the fortress now, and we find out that in the distant past, Death Force effectively built a Death Star. Starsaber was the commander who was assigned to stop it. Many lives were lost, but they managed to sabotage the station and drain the power and trap it in the Dark Nebula. And that is why Death Force has been trying to get energy this whole time. And the main purpose of his visit was, I don't have enough power to repower this thing, but I have enough to make sure that the lights still work. So I know that if I gather all the energy, that I will be able to use this thing. So he's doing the thing that most leaders don't even bother to do. Make sure the plan will work before you do the plan. Anyway, Death Force is so caught up in his hatred of Starsaber right now, he is like completely nostalgic in his rage. And then they find out that Starsaber and everyone are on their way back from Micro within range. So he decides to go murder Starsaber right here and now, and reveals his brand new weapon, the Living Metal Destroying Cannon. It has that stretch goal. He uses it in both modes. It's a giant cannon, it plugs in, uses its own energy as a power source, and it can destroy living metal. It's lethal to Transformers. And in this encounter, Starsaber almost gets murdered yet again. It comes down to like he's got like a clean shot at Starsaber, and Starsaber is incapacitated. The only reason Starsaber survives is because Galaxy Shuttle ran interference, Death Force shot at him, and that used up the rest of the power of the gun, and he ran into the energy to finish the job. So he retreats to fight another day. All right, everyone's back on Earth now. This is where things start to go south for the Cybertrons for a number of episodes. Because the Kaiser, they don't need hostages anymore. They can just beat anybody. Like, he continues to almost kill Starsaber on several occasions, with someone jumping in at the last minute, and then getting brutally hurt themselves. Like, they put Blacker in a cast for several episodes. That's how, like he's literally in a robot cast. I don't know how that works, but okay. The only relief they get is that Great Shot happens to show up on vacation and helps barely contain Kaiser, but at this point the Destron plans are very much to get away with whatever they want because Kaiser is just a big brute. Alright, and this all culminates in episode 25, where the Destrons get bold enough to lure Starsaber out into a trap. So they lure him into an underground cage match in the Chinese Emperor's tomb below, and between him and Death Source. And Death Source has the Living Metal Destroying Cannon with him. And then there's Kaiser with a steel chair pushing rocks down on Starsaber. And they got Starsaber pinned. There is no way he's getting out of this. Like, it's a clean shot. He is going to murder Starsaber right there and then. And then God Jinrai shows up at the last minute, 11th hour, takes the shot, and then takes several more hits from the cannon. Death Source retreats as the Cybertron reinforcements show up. But God Jinrai is badly hurt and crying out, "Godmasters are immortal!" He then passes out in Starsaber's arms. This brings us into the death of God Jinrai. He's not dead yet, but he's essentially in an iron lung. He's on his way out. It is so serious that Perceptor, Minerva, and Wheeljack, who is not dead in Japanese continuity, because they didn't know that, show up. At this point, they have done the movie. The movie came out probably a couple months before at this point. And yeah, they got Jinrai. They have a crazy idea that just might work for saving him, though Perceptor is worried it's risky to the point he didn't even bring it up. God Jinrai is receptive. And this is going to bring us into the next major narrative arc, the Victory Leo arc, which is also the death of God Jinrai arc. They set up the idea, Starsaber had been working on the idea of a power-up of some sort, and God Jinrai volunteers to undergo the process to be remade into this power-up. The only catch with this isn't a Goldbug thing where it's a new body but the same guy. Like, it's straight up going to be a full-on death of personality. It's going to be a new person who hopefully will have echoes of God Jinrai's personality and memories, but God Jinrai is going to be dead. They spend a whole episode on this just with everyone going, oh God, like the severity of this thing. It is treated very seriously that God Jinrai is dying. Like, it's as heavy as Death of Optimus Prime, really. And he is rebuilt as Victory Leo. He is a lion now and still insanely powerful like God Jinrai was. He's also got a spaceship mode that they made up in the anime. You can kind of take it with a toy. It's still not the greatest on the half but yeah, it's straight up made up for the show. But the operation works, but honestly, I blame Wheeljack for this because this is probably a crazy Wheeljack idea in the first place. But he almost immediately goes full feral. very strong animal instincts, and he just wants to fight things. He's really powerful. He doesn't give a crap about saving lives and like everyone else. There's a point where Leozak, he's got Leozak at gunpoint, and Leozak is trying to distract him by pointing out that, oh hey, these guys are endangered. You should probably go save them. And yeah, Victory Leo's response is, I don't care, I'm gonna kill you. And Leo's like, was like, oh God, I thought I was gonna get out of this. It's great. Eventually, he does recover his memories, and at that point, he's still very aggressive, but he is a lot more like his old self. Still very much a different character. And at that point, we have a powerful new warrior, but the Death Runs still hold an edge. And at this point, Death Force's latest scheme at this point is to hold the whole planet hostage with an orbital scatter missile launcher. And he does a live demo in that annihilates 4 targets, including Calcutta. Death Force is a bigger body count than all the other Decepticon leaders combined by orders of magnitude, I will note. And not just from this episode alone. Like several episodes alone he does that. But yeah, so he blackmails them into standing down because he's like, this weapon will shoot off missiles faster than you can stop at Starsaver. So if you try and take it out, I will kill more humans. There won't be nothing you can do about it. So we're just going to go around the world and steal energy and literally laugh in your faces while you do nothing. Thankfully, combination process. He combines with Victory Leo, forms Victory Saber, and he is now fast enough to stop this satellite before it's able to unleash its lethal payload and undermine Death Force's planet. So now the balance is shifted back in favor of the Cybertrons. Lyle Kaiser's no longer the top dog. Victory Saber easily handles him now. And the Deathstrons start getting more and more desperate with their plans, trying all kinds of crazy things. Metal-eating bugs from Planet X, for instance. And Death Force, all this while, he is just sitting in his throne, getting angry, getting furious at his troops, getting abusive at his troops, doing absolutely nothing himself to do anything about this. Like, he's not even lifting a finger. Like, there are so many opportunities where if he just got in his chair, the Deathstrons would have won. All right, around this, Jen decides she wants to do more than stay on the sidelines and want to fight. So, Starsaver does what any responsible parent of a preteen does, and lets his team build him a robot. You know, kid who's too young to drive, it's a robot. And there is I bring this up because there's important aspects in that. It is made with earth materials and not living metal, so it is immune to a number of Death Force's weapons, as well as not detectable by a lot of the Death Strong sensors, and this will come up. And it's named after his school sweetheart, Illumina, the Illumina 2, and he chose the name and then asked permission. It's not creepy at all. So we're entering the final story of Victory now. Death Force is increasingly desperate to get all the energy he needs to power his fortress and display his minions. And Hellbat's gone back to form. He's becoming a self-serving weasel, and he pitches a bold new plan that will require them to risk all the energy they have. But if it works, they will get everything they need in one job. So they decide to try it. Hellbat's plan in one word is Atlantis. As in, we're going to use this energy, we're going to set off a bunch of explosions under the sea and cause tectonic shifts that will raise the lost continent of Atlantis to the surface. And then we'll raid it for energy. Because, yeah, Atlantis exists, I guess. Anyway, the bomber's plan actually does work. Because, as it turns out, when you raise a continent from the ocean, it causes like massive tidal waves that then threaten everyone living on the coast in the Atlantic. And because of that, the Cybertrons are so busy trying to save people, they can't do anything to stop this planet. The Dino Force is just there, they just fill up the entire whole of the Thunder Arrow. It is a complete success as far as plans go. Like, there's even points where like the Death Force is taking pot shots with Starsaver while he's trying to save lives. Because they know he's too busy trying to save lives. They're assholes. And then, Death Force makes his biggest mistake. He's got all the energy he needs now. He tells the Dino Force, okay, great job, you guys. Keep gathering energy, I'll be back in 5. He then goes, takes up the rest force, and takes off to his fortress. Not telling the Dino Force, he's just leaving them there. He is just abandoning his own troops, because he's like, you guys are useless, I'm not going to bother with you anymore. And this is going to happen. Alright, we get into the Act 2. He and Death Force now has a fully powered fortress. He's moved his chair into the fortress, most importantly. And he is taking the fortress straight to Earth. He's going to destroy the planet. And he decides to have some fun first and shoot. We've already had 2 episodes now where Death Force killed a ton of people because of tidal waves and the other stuff. he now decided to start lobbing clusters of meteor bombs at the planet. So, yeah, that's going to kill a ton more people. Again, Azur is like outdoing everybody. Killing millions more, probably. The Cybertrons are just scrambling to destroy as many of these things as they can. Rogue Seas are a great shot at trying to take out the fortress. They can't even get close enough to even try to get it. It's just too powerful. Victory Saber even gets blown away by the main gun. Like Death Source, he's in a position where he can't lose. Except, the Dynaforce boss, sure, they were in denial that their boss ditched them, so they went into smash and grab. And then finally, after getting hit by meteor bombs themselves, got convinced that by the Cybertrons that, oh hey, your boss did ditch you. You guys are, he doesn't like you guys. And the Cybertrons took pity on them and decided to save their lives. So in gratitude, Goryu decided to tell the Cybertrons, this is how to disable the fortress. Now they actually have a chance to win. So anyway, Victory Saber's up in space, the fortress then transforms into a space gun configuration, and he's just going to blow up the Earth in just one shot. Jan decides to take matters into his own hands, and now he's got these plans. So he does what any responsible kid does, and he takes Holly, they go out in Galaxy Shuttle, and they decide to infiltrate the fortress all by themselves. Starsaber sees this, realizes just how bad of a parent he's been that Jan is doing this in the first place, and goes after him to try and stop him. Can't get close to the fortress, but Jan can because, as I mentioned, his mech is not living metal. Jan is also not living metal. He slips by all the defenses because nothing picks him up, and gets in there, turns his mech into a bomb, and blows the power core, and disables the power core with the explosion. The fortress is now useless again. Death Source is freaking pissed. So, Starsaber goes after Jan then, and comes face to face with an angry Death Source, and you have the final battle. It's a no-holds-barred one. Death Source loses an eye, and by the end of it, Death Source is mortally wounded. He has a big gash in his chest. He is full-on bleeding out at this point. And then he plays the card of, if I die, so does the Earth. I'm going to send this fortress into a collision course with the planet. So then Starsaber goes off to get Jan out, evacuate him, and then he once again combines with Victory Leo to destroy the fortress before it can destroy the Earth. Dramatically charging into the main gun with Burning Justice, the fortress is destroyed. But at what cost? So, we then get a recap. Jan narrates what happened a year later and what became of everyone, and guess which one of these is fake here? So, Landcross becomes the planetary governor, the rescue team goes back to Planet Micro, Great Shot pieces out again to parts unknown, and Captain Ryu becomes a theme park mascot. They're all real. Also, the Dynaforce becomes a construction crew, which is, so they're building, not destroying. As for Starsaber, he is remembered as a sacrifice. But as for the villains, Lyle Kaiser got into a fight with Victory Leo and got pushed into the main gun. The main gun, which was charging, it then drained Lyle Kaiser of all his powers, so he floated off helpless at Grey Husk in space. Worst way to go. Death Source, meanwhile, was not willing to go down to the ship, so he did what anyone dying should do and vented himself into space via the airlock, and while ranting about how he returned stronger than ever before. And the last shot we see of him is him clearly dead floating in space because the guy was bleeding out and just about dead when he did that in the first place. And yes, Starsaber will be remembered, except Sight, he didn't die, that's the thing out. And that's the end of Transformers Victory, episode 37, the end of the story. But wait, didn't I say there were 44 episodes? Well, who remembers season 2 of Transformers Prime with all those clip shows? So, up to this point, Victory has had 5 recap episodes, and episode 38 is another clip show that recaps the entire series. And then they made 6 more clip shows after that. And those last 6 are generally not collected on home video releases. But yeah, they'll never stop the Transformers. Have no fears, we've got stories for years like the Transformers Zone OVA, and that's it. As for watching Victory, you got a few options. The Metrodome DVD release came out in 2006 in the UK. In 2008, Madman Entertainment in Australia did a DVD release as well. This one includes the infamous Omni Productions English dub, which is the only English dub that exists in this series. And in 2012, Shut Factory did a release, and those subtitles are kind of awful. They have all kinds of wrong names. There's no official way to stream Victory at this point. There are ways to check, there are ways to find it. I would suggest maybe check YouTube, maybe check archive.org. I will leave any digging to you. All right, but it's not the only Victory media. We have to talk about the manga as well. Because Masaki Kaneda, who came up with the concept, was also at this time writing all the TV magazine manga that was being published. That was all adaptations of the franchise, all shorter versions. And he wrote the full manga for Victory as well. Rather than being just a more condensed version of the events of the show, like the other mangas were, it does its own thing entirely, and it's probably closer to what his original vision for the show was, with that in mind. Banagami Drag as well. Again, gorgeous art. It ran for 10 chapters in TV Magazine. We finally got an official translation of it in 2020 from Viz Media. It's easy to pick up, it's a good read. And rereading for this panel, there was a lot of differences. I mean, first of all, it has a completely original story with different characterizations, even new characters. For instance, on the left, that's Jan's design in the manga. He looks nothing like he does in this show. Star Saber and Death Force's rivalry is instead now a childhood rivalry going back 500,000 years. But most importantly, they gave Jan a rival as well, because, even Deathstroke's been adopted. So Sola is a human child that Death Source has adopted and is raising, and he's made it into a cyborg with his own battle armor as well too. He then starts attending school with Jan and becomes a school rival as well, as a factional rival. And eventually Sola even gets his own robot-sized body pilot. And like Victory Leo, it can combine, which lets Death Source become the mighty King Source. And someone please make this as a hazmat third party, come on. Give us King Sola, give us King Source. Victory Leo, meanwhile, has completely different origins from the manga. He's a different guy entirely. He's a separate robot who was enhanced by Jan's father with Gurenian alloy, so he can combine with Star Saber. And he is accompanied by Jan's heretofore unknown older player and Victory Leo cosplayer, Patty. This is the only media she showed up in. She showed up dressed up like Victory Leo cosplayer, not unlike you'd see at Skepton. We then also get a human squad, the Victories. It is made up of Jan, it is made up of Patty, and we also have the Headmaster Juniors, Cab and Shuda, as well as Solar, who changes sides, and they all essentially cosplay as the Brainmasters and Victory Leo, and lend their human powers, lend their energy, their energy for justice to the Brainmasters. And yes, seriously, someone needs to do these for TF on one of these years. We need cosplay to Victories. Come on, let's get it. Let's get it, people. Someone do this, please. Alright, the manga version of the final story plays out very differently. Death Source still brings his fortress to bear while he attacks Star Saber, but instead in this version, he leaves Leozak in charge. And in this continuity, Leozak is a little more ambitious, and he decides, you know what, I can kill both of them with this fortress at the same time. So he turns the fortress's weapons on Death Source and Star Saber. Death Source then, in retaliation, cripples his own base with the living metal destroyer cannon, and Star Saber then beats Leozak, saves the day, and is about to destroy the fortress when the Deathstones suddenly they all start pleading. They all get really desperate, and they all just straight up surrender. And we find out the real reasons for protecting the fortress. It's where their families live. You saw that in the design, there was a giant city on that fortress design. This is why. All the Deathstone civilians, they all have wives and children, and they have and we find out Death Source wasn't stealing that energy to conquer the galaxy and stuff. He was stealing energy so that he could keep his family safe and fed. And once this gets revealed, the war pretty much ends because no one has any reason to fight anymore. It's like, okay, we get why you're fighting. All right, let's have peace. Death Source takes Solon back in as a kid, and it's just happily ever after. Everything ends nice and happily. And that's the end of this the presentation here. There's seriously a lot more I wanted to bring in here. I really wanted to talk about the toys, but the time for this presentation isn't enough time. That was one of the first things I cut. But stay tuned. I will probably at some point do some sort of extended edition, like on a Twitch or something like that, where I get into all the stuff that I had to cut from this and talk about all the toys that we've gotten since over the years. So, with that said, special thanks for people there. Wiki has a lot of information that helped supplement some of the stuff that I was learning about there. We'll watch the show. Big thanks to TFCon for continuing to let me do these panels. They're always fun to do. Big shout out to Matt McNally, Victory fan who bugged me for years to watch Victory. He helped encourage me with doing some of this stuff there. And thanks to all of you for coming along and being here in this presentation. We can probably take, do we have time to take one or two questions, or?
One or two, yeah.
Yeah, we can probably take a couple, so yeah, let's, I wasn't expecting to have time, but hey, we got time. So if anyone has any questions, just come out tonight.
I just want to say thank you, first of all, and second, do you think there was any influence, sort of cross-pollination, if you will, with Voltron in Transformers Victory?
I mean, it's all very much the same genre. Like, Voltron's still a very Super Sentai, like the original Voltron, like, that's what, like, Go Light, like, it's all very Super Sentai inspired and all that stuff. So, I would say that absolutely all that stuff cross-pollinates. Probably owes just as much to things like Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, all that stuff as well, too. It's just a massive genre in Japan. There's so much cross-pollination. So I wouldn't say there's any one source that there is.
Thanks.
Hey there.
Hey.
Considering that the Takara Legends manga basically made Six Shot and Great Shot the same person and
yes,
officially made that canon,
yes.
Before then there was still a lot of fan skepticism. What did you think of it originally, before all that was confirmed?
Oh, I mean, like, I only watched Victory in the last month, so I didn't know a lot about this stuff, but I did read the translations of the Sakamoto stuff and everything, so I was aware I was very much aware that connection had been made by Sakamoto, who, as a mega fan, is going to tie up as many of these things as he can. I still love the Legends manga, incidentally. That's another thing to try and track down, read the translations of the Legends Packing manga. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
I just wanted to add, as a Victory superfan myself, I follow Masami Kaneda on Twitter. And he's spoken about how one of his inspirations for Victory were actually American Westerns.
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Like, it's why the Dino Force rides on the Pretender shells. It's why there's a cowboy theme in the episode 1 introducing Star Saber.
Yes, episode 1 Star Saber's intro is very much, it's straight up out of the Western.
It's literally like...
He literally made a hiding showdown for that first scene. It's great.
It's literally Once Upon a Time in the West.
And it's probably why they decided to do the Western episode they did, and for whatever reason decided, let's not do it in America, let's just make it Southern Canada. And no one paid attention to the fact that Southern Canada is like complete, no one says Southern Canada.
Yeah, but at the same time, we did also have cowboys up here, but it's just not talked about as much.
Yeah.
But yes, that is also a major part of Victory, and it's also a big reason why Great Shot is the way he is, because there's a lot of crossover. Xana and cowboy films.
I can see it, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Yes.
Thought that was a good thing to put out there. Also, I would challenge you on Death Source being the most effective. Zarak in Headmasters blew up Cybertron.
True, but Cybertron was pretty much a dead world then.
Not yet, not really.
I guess not fully, but
the Autobots took it back.
I'm more talking about human casualties than I hear what I'm saying.
Okay, human
That's fair, because
casualties.
Megatron killed countless people like billions of years before.
Yeah.
In terms of humans, like that's what we're trying to easily,
I'll give you that.
It's easily in the tens of millions at the very least.
I'll give you that. Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you, Techno. Oh,
I'm joking. Oh, you got a question, Daniel?
I'm joking.
all right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting that panel. And coming up soon, we've got Aaron Archer.